Hey everybody, how's it going? Today I'm hopping back into the 5-minute pool, hoping to play a fun and interesting game of chess. Let's get straight to it, going up against Koninger Alpin 6969, and let's hit this opponent with the Elephant Gambit. This is definitely becoming one of my favorite openings. It just seems to work so well. Lots of tricks and traps. Whichever thing they take, I like to play knight f6, take this back with my queen, be down a pawn, ask the opponent what they want to do with their knight. d4, probably the most common reply that I see. I face d4 almost exclusively. Now I'm going to be challenging this knight on e5. If you want to play bishop c4, oops, I take on g2, and that's actually a line that wins for me. So easy game. Thank you for watching today's YouTube video. This is take number 20 of how to win with like this trap over and over and over again. Like, I'm honestly confused at this point if I should keep publishing games, because I feel like they're all exactly the same. I just keep winning with the same exact trap. But at least we get to demonstrate one more time how this goes. And I guess if people aren't paying attention and learning what to do, I guess I'll keep making it. Opponent here can bail out with queen to f3. But if they go in for this, they're just insanely lost. And this is actually the most common way for white to continue. But there's always new people, I suppose. Hello, my name is Jonathan Schrantz, and I am a professional Elephant Gambit winner. This is what I do for a living. I win with this same trap over and over. Thank you for coming to my channel. Now you take here, and then you take this bishop. And for a moment, it looks like they're going to get material back. But then you hit him with this one, and then the real surprise move. Wait for it, brace yourself. Here comes queen d4. It's always queen d4. And then we hit him with our next surprise. Will I get something I've never seen before? It's hard to imagine. All right, rook d8. So setting up some sort of checkmating threats if the queen moves away. And if you take my rook, I go here. Then you go all the way back, thinking that you've protected it. Here it's this move. And then we need to start thinking. So opponent actually plays this correctly. A lot of people blunder mate in that previous position. But I am threatening checkmate now. And here you can play bishop to b4, another very funny move. With the idea that if you take, I go here, bishop to e3, I can sack yet another piece because there's a checkmating square on d2. So you can tell why people fall for this. Like, if you haven't studied this, you're not going to be able to come up with all of these crazy moves on your own. But let's see what the opponent is going to come up with. Because there's many, many, many lines. I think the difficulty of making like a comprehensive guide on the Elephant Gambit, which is something that I know a lot of people want, is that it's a lot of lines like this that are very complicated, and each line itself would take, you know, a good deal of time to try to come up with. But I just keep winning all of these games with just pure prep. Like, I don't have to think. I've won hundreds of rating points without even having to think once, because I've just learned lines like this. So if you want to learn this, this is another 16-move checkmate trap that is very common. A lot of opponents will fall in for this one. I should take this as an opportunity to try to explain exactly why this happened. Now, this is the Elephant Gambit, okay? So pay attention if you want to win in 16 moves and win hundreds of rating points, because this one, it's just been so good for me. Now, let's see how this goes. And the good thing here is that no matter what the opponent takes first, I am very often just going to play knight f6. I'm just going to go for this. And then after they take the other thing, I take this back with my queen. Now, sorry, I bit my tongue earlier this week, or I'm having some sort of allergic reaction, so I'm kind of like choking on my words here a little bit. Apologies. But this position is very dangerous, not according to Stockfish, who thinks that this is +2. But if you just look at the most popular moves in this database, the way of dealing with this is either knight f3. This appears to be the most popular, but I hardly ever face it. d4 is what I face most commonly. And after this move, it makes a lot of sense to just defend the knight and be able to get your bishop out. You play knight to c6, challenging white's most active piece. And the beauty of this is that your queen will stay on this diagonal. Even if they take, your queen always stays here. So if at any moment, here or later, another common mistake is like this bishop moves away, you're always taking on g2, and then you're going to be winning. This queen on this diagonal is very, very frustrating for the opponent, because it's hard to just complete your development if this bishop is always stuck on f1. But bishop c4 is a very common mistake, and it looks very promising because you're going right after this f-pawn, and it looks like, especially if I've been playing kind of quickly, it's important to play your moves kind of quick to make it look like maybe you made a mistake. But now if we pop on the computer, it's going to say that black has a big advantage. And then here is where people go really wrong. 74% of the time, people are taking. This is their last chance to bail out. White can still play queen to f3, allowing this and ending up in a significantly worse position where they're just simply, they've given the pawn back, they're down in development, so they're behind, and they also have the worst pawn structure. But you know, at least you got a game that you can play. But if they've come this far, they're almost always going to be taking on f7. This allows you to bong cloud your king, and now they have to deal with the fact that this rook is hanging. It's kind of funny that the computer always wants queen f3, but obviously now we're in -7 territory. After rook f1, most common move, you take this knight, and this removes the defender of this bishop, and it looks like after they take back that white still has some hope. Because after all, if you take this bishop, they still have time to remove your knight. And all of that is true, but the fact that there are so many open files here means that black has a winning attack. You start with bishop here, and this also means you're introducing threats of bringing this rook somewhere on this diagonal. The queen needs to go somewhere. There's not a huge difference between queen d3 and queen d4, but queen d4 is the one that you see most frequently. Now comes rook to d8 with the idea of bringing this rook all the way in, delivering a checkmate. And because of that, I guess queen c4 is the most popular move, but the alternative is to take. And this leads to another checkmate for black. Now you play bishop here, threatening the queen. And obviously they can play knight c3 and just lose their queen, which I guess is the best way. But more commonly, actually 100% of games, there's only 7 games, people go here. And now you can choose between 2 mates in one. You can play rook here, checkmate. You can play queen here, checkmate. Either one of these is a win. And you're just using all of your pieces to deliver this mating attack. However, in our game, I guess my opponent played a little bit more correctly, understood that they couldn't take this rook. Played queen to c4, which forces my king to g6. My king is going to need to be a warrior here. But now I still have this threat. And the best they can do is knight to c3, which is what was played. But then bishop b4, hanging a bishop with the idea that we've now pinned this knight. So yet again, we are threatening to play rook to d1. This would be a checkmate on the spot. And most players are going to take, which leads to a very simple checkmate. I'm not sure what the alternatives even would be. Bishop to e3, I suppose, is some alternative. Best apparently is to take the knight. You could also start by bringing this guy in, but just to look at a different line, computer says here, if you take with the queen, there is some checkmate. Queen f3, threatening to come in here, and it looks like you would have to use your queen, which loses a queen. And if this pawn takes so that the queen can stay on here, it's still queen f3. I guess you're never going to castle, and at some moment, something like this probably should happen. They have to give up their queen here. I'm not actually entirely sure. Just rook d1 is the threat. Yeah, you can't really stop it. Also, queen d1 sacking the queen is a threat. So all of this stuff is just impossible for the opponent to parry. But most often, what happens is they end up taking this. You give this check. And then, of course, they play bishop to e3. What's the best move? Queen e7. I haven't encountered this one personally, but I guess that's the best way for white to continue. But after this, you're able to sacrifice and bring your queen over to d2. And that's a checkmate. So if you like the Elephant Gambits, there certainly are a lot on this channel. Make sure you subscribe so you can see the next time I win with this very same trap. See you later.